For many companies, the first sign of a compliance problem does not come from an auditor. It comes from a customer. A prime contractor asks about documentation. A government buyer is asking where sensitive data is stored. A proposal requires security language that the company is not ready to support. A state agency is asking about incident response. A federal contract references requirements the sales team has never seen before. And suddenly, compliance is no longer a back office issue. It is standing directly in the way of revenue. That is why organizations doing business with the DoD, federal agencies, state and local government, or education customers need a compliance approach that can scale. Not a one-time checklist, not a scramble before a deadline, not a collection of policies copied from the internet. They need a structured process that supports the business as it grows. In this session, Compliance Services for DoD, Federal, and SLED, I explain how organizations can build that kind of approach. The audience for this session includes government contractors, executives, public sector vendor councils, Federal Industry Day attendees, business development leaders, compliance teams, and companies that want to win and keep their regulated contracts. One of the biggest mistakes I see is that organizations treat each compliance request as a separate emergency. A DoD customer asks about NIST 800-171, a federal agency asks about security controls, a public sector is asking about data protection, a prime contractor is asking about COI, a procurement team is asking about vendor risk. Each request gets handled individually, but over time, that creates confusion. Different people give different answers. Policies do not match actual operations. Evidence is hard to find. Sales teams overpromise. Technical teams are left to interpret contract language, and leadership does not have a clear view of the organization's true risk. This session shows attendees how to replace that reactive model with a more mature compliance operating model. We look at how DoD, federal, and SLED requirements are often overlapped. They may use different terms, different contract language, and different frameworks, but many of the expectations are connected. Protect sensitive data, control access, train employees, manage vendors, document decisions, respond to incidents, maintain evidence, and be able to prove that your organization is doing what it says it does. The last part matters the most. In regulated markets, saying we have a policy is not enough. Organizations need to show that that policy is understood, implemented, monitored, and supported by evidence. This session gives leaders a practical way to think about just that. We cover how to identify which compliance requirements apply, how to find ownership, how to organize documentation, how to build repeatable evidence, how to prepare for customer reviews, and how to prevent compliance from becoming a sales bottleneck. We also talk about a major issue many organizations overlook. Compliance has to match the business. A small contractor should not try to copy the compliance model of a massive defense prime. A software vendor selling into state government may need a different approach than a manufacturer handling controlled technical data. A company supporting education customers may face different risk profile than a company supporting DoD contracts. The point is not to overbuild. The point is to build the right structure for the contracts, customers, data, and growth strategy of that organization. For executives, this session connects compliance directly to revenue, risk, contract eligibility, and customer confidence. For vendor councils, it helps suppliers understand how to prepare before compliance questions become barriers. For federal industry days, it gives attendees a realistic view of what readiness looks like before pursuing regulated opportunities. The main message is simple. Compliance should not be treated as something the organization figures out at the last minute. It should be built into how the organization sells, delivers, protects data, manages vendors, trains employees, and responds to customer expectations. When compliance is structured properly, it does not slow growth. It supports growth. It helps organizations answer difficult questions faster. It helps them prepare for audits and customer reviews. It reduces operational confusion. And it gives leadership a clearer view of where the business is exposed. For companies working across DoD, federal, and SLED markets, that kind of clarity is not optional anymore. It is becoming part of what it takes to compete in today's market.